For today's cup of coffee, we're going to continue the mini-series of phobias. And this one is kind of near and dear to my heart and possibly to kids' heart. And this is a real thing. It's called Dementophobia. And this definition comes from verywellmind.com. And now we have got every kind of noise. It's some kind of universal conspiracy that when people sit down to record, there's every noise. It was totally silent, and then the cats start, and then people start going up and down the road. So we've tried to, we just going ahead and do. And anyhow, this definition does come from verywellmind.com. And dementophobia, according to them, is a type of phobia that involves the fear of madness or insanity. People who have this fear are afraid that they are going insane or losing touch with reality. The fear may be triggered by a family history of mental illness or periods of severe stress. Depersonalization and derealization are subjective changes in perception. They are extremely common during panic attacks and times of intense stress, but can create a feeling of disconnectedness with the body and with the wider world. This can lead to a feeling you're going insane, creating a self-reinforcing cycle. And I will put a link to all this. With depersonalization, that refers to a feeling of being detached from yourself, as if you're watching your life take place from the sidelines or viewing yourself on a movie screen. It can include I wrote it down phonetically and I still screwed it up. Alexithymia.
Alexithymia.
All right. Which is an inability to recognize or describe emotions. I'm glad that inability to speak Latin is not included.
It's alexithymia.
Alexithymia. Mm-hmm. And also feeling physically numb to sensations, feeling robotic or unable to control speech or movement, feeling unconnected to your body, mind, feelings, or sensations, inability to attach emotions to memories or to own your memories as experiences that happen to you, the sense that your body and limbs are distorted, such as swollen or shrunken, or the sense that your head is wrapped in cotton. And then derealization is a sense of feeling detached from your environment and the objects and people in it. The world may seem distorted and unreal, as if you're observing through a veil. You may feel as if a glass wall is separating you from people you care about. This aspect of dissociation can also create distortions in vision and other senses. And some of the other symptoms, distance and size or shape of objects may be distorted. You may have a heightened awareness of your surroundings. Recent events may seem to have happened in the distant past. Surroundings may seem blurry, colorless, two-dimensional, unreal, or larger than life or cartoonish. And episodes of depersonalization, derealization disorder can last for hours, days, weeks, or even months. And for some, such episodes become chronic, evolving into ongoing feelings of depersonalization or derealization that can periodically get better or worse. And unlike other psychotic disorders, people with depersonalization, derealization know that their experiences of detachment aren't real. And this can leave them feeling concerned about their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, rightfully so.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's actually a very common thing. Like, depersonalization is actually a really common thing that can happen to people.
Sure. And especially
That
in
does
today's
happen to
world, because of the elevated amount of stress that people have been under for at least a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just trying to deal with the world at large.
Right.
And this is some really scary stuff. And I
Oh,
know
it's
people
horrifying.
I know people are like, well, how does this fit in with paranormal and supernatural? These can be considered spiritual attacks, very much so.
Can be, yeah, but and it's almost like your spirit sort of detaches, like separates from your body for a
Sure.
second. I think that's what sort of happens.
Well, that or it's not. You're not totally present. It is a matter that you feel ungrounded. A cat over here chewing his foot. Cat has some kind of respiratory something, and he sounds disgusting.
He's
Anyhow,
snorting and stuff.
he is just crazy. He is crazy. But with the dementophobia, because that we helped be caretaker of 90-plus-year-old great aunt for kid that would have been double great aunt who had dementia. Oh, that was traumatic for the whole family.
It was horrible.
And seeing somebody, you know, in cognitive decline like that is, you know, a horrible thing to where they can't do self-care. You can no longer have conversation with them that makes any sense. Their perception of the world around them and the suffering that brings, you know, the hallucinations, and that you could say something and it be taken totally differently, be heard totally differently. And we've also had experience then with Michael.
Yeah.
And with the depersonalization and the derealization, with his also included dissociative identity disorder. And we do very much, because that we did have paranormal experiences with that, we do believe that there is some kind of a demonic something mixed in.
It can be, but and like
It's not everyone with DID has that.
no, not everyone does have that.
But we had stuff that there was no rational explanation at all.
That's true, but that goes into like the realm of actual genuine paranormal versus delirium.
Right.
That's with Myrtle, which was 90-plus-year-old great aunt.
Yeah.
She would have these delusions that were just
Horrific.
Yeah, like for example, that she see some man outside with a bloody coat or whatever,
Yep.
and like people were in her room staring at her, and the ceiling fan would come down like inches away from her face.
At first, there were some that were not that severe, that were kind of...
Yeah, like chickens outside.
Yeah, the chickens outside. That was kind of amusing.
Feed those chickens.
But when it worsened, as far as her believing that animals had been slaughtered, even though the animal could be standing outside, and she believed it had been replaced.
Yeah. That was like someone's killing that dog out there.
Or the horse.
Or the horse, yeah, whatever.
You know, the horse had been killed multiple times within a, month. And the thought that someone was seeing someone walking up and down the porch covered in blood, she did believe that this person, there was the paranoia that someone was going to come in and hurt her.
There was someone that actually came to visit her or whatever, and she full on like swatted at them or hit them.
Yeah, that was one of the home
because
health
she
workers.
thought that they were coming to hurt her.
Right.
And it's like, no, honey, it's not that way. Seriously.
Right, but when somebody is in that state of mental decline, they don't know.
No, they don't know, and it's
And
a very scary thing.
Sure, it's scary for family, especially if they become aggressive and violent.
But it's more terrifying for those people because they got everyone else being like, you can't see, no one else sees it or whatever,
Right.
And like, yeah, that fucks with you mentally.
Sure it does.
Even more.
And what was worse was where she wouldn't remember it, like an hour or two later. She wouldn't even remember what she had said. The rest of us did and do.
Uh-huh.
And that from that, if I have days, and I think all of us have days that we don't remember well, It's like if it's glucose level or depression or rainy or just random day,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't feel like you're, functioning fully mentally,
Right.
it's horrifying because it's like, oh dear God, I don't ever let that happen to me.
Yeah, I think everybody has that fear of, losing their sanity when they get older or whatever, or any
Sure.
time, honestly.
Yeah, because it can happen. I mean, mental illness isn't just confined to any age group.
Yeah.
And as far as the amount of stress that everyone has been under and the lack of control and seeing situations happen, that's, I mean, people are dropping off the edge mentally and spiritually day by day. And
Yeah,
it is a
absolutely they are.
horrific period of time we're living through.
It truly is. It's scary.
I mean, it's like the world as we knew it has imploded, exploded, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every time we think that, and do I believe this is by design? Absolutely. That's not paranoia. That is researching this stuff over many years. It's like every time that you feel like you've got some semblance of normalcy, the powers that be, pull the rug out from under you,
Yeah.
which creates further stress, which creates more mental illness, people grasping for someone to make things better.
Uh-huh.
Why is it you yawn every time that we're doing these?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
But it makes me wonder. I ask questions. Today's world is horrifying.
Yeah, and I will say the yawning is not intentional. It's really not. But yeah, today's world is absolutely horrifying, and I've caught myself many a time being like, I want to go back to like 2005.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that is one of the things that a lot of people are doing, trying to go back to a simpler time where things were not as complicated as they are now. Um, Even if they didn't live through that particular time. And didn't you say there was a term that was, if you can remember the term for that?
It's nostalgia. There's nostalgia, and then
Well,
there's
yeah.
age regression, whatever, therapy.
But it's like for people who, it's almost as if they remember a time that they did not live in.
Is that like a past life type of thing?
No,
or...
it was something. There was a phrase or a wording that you had at one point for that. It's that, the familiarity with something you didn't personally experience. Could it be genetic and DNA memory? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that we have no idea on a lot of these things. We have no idea how consciousness works. We know some of the areas that memory is in the brain, and in others we have no clue.
Oh, yeah, like, there's a lot of things, like, to our knowledge, we only use, like, what, 5% of our brain most of the time?
I've heard that was a myth. I don't know. I mean, that's one of those pervasive myths. I would have to go back and verify that. But there's a lot of untapped potential within human beings. And cats fighting. So, but do I believe that it could be, as Kid earlier referenced, a matter of separation of soul from body, or a slight movement of soul from body? And that very well could be some kind of a protective mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a break in the matrix to sit there and go, no, this really isn't real.
Because, like, astral projection is a very real thing.
Sure.
Where, like, it's basically your spirit is coming out of your body as you sleep, but
Yeah.
your body's still alive and it's still attached. There's, like, this...
The silver cord.
Yeah. And, like, eventually, if you go too far from it, you snap back into your body.
Well, and I know that there have been a lot of people that have had spontaneous astral projection. There are those who seek it. I don't think that either one of them, I do not think that is a safe practice. Of course, if it's unintentional and you do that, you have no control over that.
Mm-hmm.
But to actively seek that, I don't know. I think that's opening doors that you don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah, that's true. Unless people do know how to. There are ways to protect yourself as far as that or whatever.
Yeah, don't do it. We're placed in these bodies for a period of time for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Having visions and dreams and different things like that, that's a little bit different. There are times that it could, in Scripture, that it talks about, I think that it was John, as far as the vision that he had in the Revelation, that it said one minute he was in the body and the next he was in the spirit. So in some ways that could be considered a form of astral projection.
Well, you also know that lucid dreaming, like, there is a chance, and that does happen sometimes, where the dreams do come true. What if that's your soul peeping into the future?
Oh, that
for
very
ya?
well could be. Because your soul is one of those that, do I believe it comes from this place where there is no time, where God is? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had experience as far as visions and knowledge of stuff that we do have. We come here with a mission, or at least some of us come here with a mission.
Yeah.
And if you go into like Kabbalah, and their belief is to see God in everything, and that
Mhm.
means even the stuff that's not pleasant, to see that God is doing something.
Yeah, and God's doing stuff, even if we can't see it. God
Right.
is still working.
Sure. But it's also one of those within Kabbalah, it is, they discuss what other people don't, or I've not heard other people discussing it, which is to have these moments of extreme spiritual understanding and to gradually lose that and then have to search for it again.
Yeah.
And I have experienced that in my life, and that's part of the human condition. And talk about, fearing going insane. When you are having visions or spiritual experiences, people look at you funny.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And that was just 2013, and I had to be very careful as far as speaking to mental health professionals.
Mhm.
The reason that they did not place me someplace, was that I was not a threat to myself or anyone else.
Right. Well,
Because most of these people don't believe in spirit. That's not all mental health professionals. Some of them are very much religious, and some of the articles that I have been reading over the past year or so, they understand that there are things that are spiritual. That's the only thing they can define it as,
Mm-hmm.
because there is no reasonable, rational, scientific explanation for them.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. Thank you. But yeah, I've had dreams that have come true fairly recently, actually.
Yeah.
That's like even before I even got the opportunity to work at Bucks, I had a dream that I was standing somewhere and like there was this silver thing and I was talking to someone in this kitchen or whatever. And turns out that was me talking to my boss, my ex-boss, me basically being like, I'm talking to her about quitting.
Sure. Well, your father has had dreams that came to pass.
Mm-hmm.
My father would have dreams that came to pass.
And who says that those gifts aren't passed down?
Oh, I think very much they're genetic.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways I ended up the way that I was, because it was passed down on both sides to me. It was passed down on both sides to you too.
It's just a matter of
And
me
your brother.
It's just a matter of me unlocking those gifts,
Sure.
the other gifts or whatever. Me
Sure.
allowing them.
Some of them it is a matter of they awaken when they awaken in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a spirit thing that is not always connected to the conscious mind.
Right. Exactly.
So, you can't force some of those things. Some of them
No.
you can when you have the willingness,
Yeah.
But like I said, doors that you don't know what is on the other side, I'd be very, very cautious.
Oh yeah, it's not safe to open doors that you don't think that can't be closed.
Right. Well, that's just like the internet. Somebody can type words on the screen or make a video, and That
That can mess people up.
Oh, well, they can seem one way and be totally another way.
Yeah.
Now, this is it, folks. This is it. If you were to come and have a cup of coffee with us on the porch, this is it. This is us.
Yeah.
We're as authentic as you can ever be.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. We're not putting on anything.
Except on TikTok, I do put up a persona because I'm currently doing it's like a little mini movie type of thing on there. It's an ARG.
I don't tick nor talk on that.
So, like, I am playing a character and I'm telling a story, but it's not real.
It's not real. None of the TikTok stuff is real.
No, some of this TikTok stuff is very real. Is very real.
It's like it's a snippet. It's like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, but
And
it still happened.
It is a moment in time that a lot of times there's no context to it. That's just like if you go into court. There's two sides to everything. Everybody, this party has a side, another party has their side, and the truth is somewhere in between. And that's where it takes somebody that doesn't have a dog in that race to sit there and go, okay, this is what probably really happened. Because it's a matter of somebody's perspective, which according to this right here we're talking about, the depersonalization and the derealization, can very much affect somebody's perception.
It can. But TikTok has helped people in many ways, such as getting them out of abusive situations, households, whatever. Because it's documentation or whatever.
It can be used as documentation. But like I said, as far as spiritual doors and stuff like that, there are forces out there we have no understanding of.
Yeah.
We do the best we can. A lot of times that's where you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have to, even when you have questions for God, God does not mind you asking questions.
Yeah.
And some of the things I think that we have taken out of context and we don't understand, as far as,
there's many things
never
we don't
doubt,
understand.
never have fear, this, that, and the other. And go back to the book of Job. He questioned lots. Read what his friends had to say, and that what they had to say was inaccurate according to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, some of these things, the actual translations and the understanding, you have to really search for, because God's response to Job was kind of snarky, and he never really answered the question, other than it's like, I'm God and these are the perks.
Right.
So that's not really an answer. So there's lost meaning on that.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time where most people feel like they're losing their minds, that's where trust comes in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And those people that don't have anything to hold on to,
except for hope and trust.
There are people that don't even have hope and trust.
That's true.
You've got some people that are so black-pilled,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, yeah. So, Dementophobia. If you really think that you're going crazy, on any of these videos, I have put a hotline, a help hotline, so that people can call if they need to. Do not allow fear to prevent you from getting help. These videos are not to be used to treat or diagnose anything. This is just a discussion of various sorts, and it is a matter of scary things that can happen to the mind, scary things that can happen to the spirit.
Yeah, it's just raising awareness.
Sure.
And it's just a matter of general discussion,
And it can let some people know that they're not alone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Does that mean we're a public service?
I guess so. Public service announcement.
Yes, I think it's a matter of just trying to help somebody validate their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, final thoughts?
Actually, for once, I don't have one. Don't vape.
Don't vape. Do not vape. Anyhow, if you've had experiences with the supernatural
Actually, no, vape
or
at your own
paranormal,
accord. Vape at your own accord.
I knew he wouldn't let me get through it. I knew it. If you've had experiences with supernatural, paranormal, if you've had encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids such as Bigfoot, chupacabras, skinwalkers, if you've had experiences with altered or alternate realities, and if you've had experiences with depersonalization, derealization, that can very much fall into the category of altered realities. If you've had haunted objects,
Yeah, cursed objects, haunted objects.
yeah, any of that can fall into those categories. Or
Weird experiences with vintage mirrors.
yeah, anything else that you would like to share with us, send those to cupofcoffeewithscream at gmail.com, and take a breath, drink another cup of coffee, say your prayers, get battle ready for each and every day. Know that you are very loved.
Yes.
So you all have a beautiful, blessed day.
Bye.